Patreon Q&A number 73. I want to thank all 115 of my incredible patrons. Guys, I can't believe all of the support, and I can't thank you enough. It really does mean the world to me. And to everyone else listening, there's going to be spoilers in these questions and answers, so tread carefully. ThighsOfZeus asked, "Hey, Shonen, for my question this week, I thought it'd be nice to give you more reasons to talk about Blast. What do you think his personality is going to be like once he's completely revealed? Do you think life as the humble bearded worker has changed him at all, or is he still the brutal lone wolf that slaughters ninja children? Keep up the good work, Shosho." So I'm thinking that it ultimately comes down to the answer of whether he did slaughter the younglings or not. And I really wouldn't be surprised if this was kind of like a red herring by one, just to kind of confuse us as to the morality of Blast, because the way that Sonic paints it, of course, makes you think that, yeah, he probably took them out. But at the same time, it's kind of left up in the air. Did he take them out? Did they run away? I would like both outcomes, honestly. I would like it if Blast did slaughter them. I think that would be super interesting. But it would also be interesting if he kind of just, I don't know, took them somewhere else or set them free or something, and they were just unable to come in contact with Sonic or something. Or maybe he set them on the right path, possibly, because we do know he kind of has a history with going to free younglings, because he freed Tatsumaki. Obviously, he didn't take her out, so I think it would probably be possible that he probably saved the ninjas, younglings as well. But you know, like I said, it ultimately comes down to whether he took them out or not to really gauge what he's like. But, you know, thankfully we do have some dialogue from him, actually, when he is talking to Tatsumaki, when he says, like, when the time comes, don't go expecting someone to come save you. So I guess that's giving us some insight that he's not entirely like, a good old-fashioned hero the way that, like, All Might is or something like that. But he's more stern, mildly authoritative, kind of. And in a really, like, when he's talking to Tatsumaki in this instance, is he saying, like, her as a powerful individual, like, don't come expecting someone to come save you, you should probably just defend yourself? Or is he just saying her as a person in general? Like, all people shouldn't just expect someone to come save them. They should probably try to defend themselves, or just, try to help themselves. Something like that. I mean, I think it's probably the latter here, which goes to show that Blast is, he's like that grizzled veteran. He's like, he does have a stance of authority. He is the number one hero. He's probably like the longest active hero, and he probably knows that he's the strongest hero by far. So he's like, the top of the class. He's kind of like in a leadership position, where he's like overseeing everyone. And he's like, look, you got to follow my rules because I know what's best. So I think that instead of being like a lawful evil, if we're looking at the scale here, he's probably like lawful neutral, like not entirely altruistic, but maybe like a tad bit evil. I mean, because it also goes into like, if he is the beard worker, which, I think is likely, we haven't really seen any behavior from the beard worker that would show that he is capable of killing kids for the greater good. So I think he's more so like, falling into that lawful neutral category, which would also make it more interesting for Saitama to take him on, considering that he wouldn't be completely unredeemably evil at that point. Acoustic asks, "Hey man, who do you think would win in Atomic Samurai versus Hellfire and Gale? Do you think he has a chance of taking one of them out in a 1v1? I believe his draw/swing speed is quick enough to deal with them separately, but both at once may be overwhelming. Would be great to hear your thoughts. Cheers." So I think it's very possible that he could probably take them out 1v1, because in the third audiobook we saw him go against Sonic, and Sonic was able to get the draw on him first, and he was still able to block it, and it's kind of implied that he did it easily, meaning that he's probably much faster than Sonic. So we can kind of gauge him to the difference in speed between like Sonic and Hellfire and Gale's monster forms. So I'm going to assume, just taking a guess, maybe he's just as fast as they are, possibly. I mean, obviously, they're not as fast as Flashy Flash, because he, when he got serious, he was like way faster than them. And he was ultimately trying to set up a situation where he was able to take them out both at the same time. And that's something that Atomic Samurai would need to do here, because if he just took out one of them and the other one was able to, come up behind him or something while he was taking the other one out, he'd be decapitated probably. I don't think he's fast enough to deal with them both. So if he was to defeat them at the same time, he would have to have like an opportune moment the way that Flashy Flash did. But other than that, I think he can probably kill him 1v1, but it's like the 2v1 where it's going to get super difficult for him. Chance asks, hey Shonen, I'd like to hear your opinion on what do you think the One Piece is. I hope it's a real object and not something like the journey getting there. Thanks, have a good one. So thankfully Oda has clarified that the One Piece is in fact a thing. It's not just like a metaphor or anything like that, so we can rest easy on that. What I personally think it is that it's like a collection of things, obviously like everything in One Piece, but I think the important thing about the One Piece is that it's a collection of poneglyphs, both informational and historical. It's going to have all of the information about the Void Century and everything else that pertains to that, and it's also going to have the instructional poneglyphs on how to use the 3 ancient weapons, like Uranus, Poseidon, and Pluton, and ultimately how they're probably going to destroy like the Red Line to unite the oceans and everything. And then I think there's probably going to be like traditional treasure there too, like gold and rubies and maybe some weapons and artifacts and stuff like that too. Crusader Deus Vult asks, Deus Vult King Z-Man, my first question is, do you think that the Mad Cyborg Saga will have multiple cyborgs fight the heroes, and do you think that Darkshine and Metal Bat will get to battle a cyborg they can trash and Metal Bat can show his true power? So I think it's very likely, because the Mad Cyborg is probably Drive Knight, and if he's not Drive Knight, then he's probably affiliated with the organization at some point, meaning that these two storylines are going to converge, and we're going to see the organization take on, some heroes. Not sure if it's going to be the Hero Association, but it's definitely going to be Genos, and then whoever is allied with him at that time. So I do think it's possible, but as for it being Darkshine, unsure if he's going to come back into action because he's kind of like retired right now. I mean, I do think that he's probably going to come back, but as for his involvement in this arc, it's really unclear at this point. I would like for it to be Metal Bat, because I too would love to see his true power, but I'm unsure if it's going to be like a organization robot to push him this far. I think it's probably going to be like a monster or something like that. It could be wrong, but I certainly hope that we just see his true power one way or another. My second question is, do you think Genos will be a high dragon when he fights the Mad Cyborg, and do you think he will win or will he die? Also, love your stuff, been here for a while, and you're so cool, can't wait to see your channel blows up. Also, the Holy Land, YouTube, will be ours, Deus Vult. Hey, thank you, Crusader, I appreciate that so much, my friend. So I do think that Genos will be at the minimum a high dragon by the time he fights the Mad Cyborg. He might even be approaching like that above dragon territory, depending on how late in the series this happens, and I do think he'll win. I mean, especially if it is Drive Knight, I think he'll wind up winning, but he might have to give his life in the process, something like that. So he might die. But given from what Murata said on the ending of One Punch Man, it seems like Genos is probably going to make it to the end and survive. At the least, instead of dying, I think he'll probably lose his cyborg abilities and probably become like a normal human or something like that. James D. Real Estate asks, hey man, I just went up to the $5 tier and likely go even higher in the future. Hey, thank you so much, James. My question today is, how many mid-dragons, Atomic Samurai, Genos Daedric, Hellfire and Gale, monster forms would it take to defeat an above dragon like Golden S or Tatsumaki, maybe even Orochi? I think that it would take a maximum of 5. Of course, this is just my opinion. You're the best YouTuber. Hope you have an amazing week. Hey, you're too kind, James, and I hope you have an amazing week as well. So I think that 5 is probably good, at least for like Golden S, something like that, because Samai Mask was like, he's such a powerful monster, even us all working together would still have no easy time. So maybe somebody like him, it would be more realistic for them to take down, but when we're going into like Tatsumaki and Orochi, then it's going to be super difficult. Like Tatsumaki probably could have taken care of the cadres that she was fighting by herself if she didn't get snuck up on by Psychos and she exploited her minor weakness that she has, because they weren't really like pushing her all that much. And if we just replace the cadres with like other mid-dragons and stuff, she probably would take care of them, especially even the fast ones, because she was able to keep up with Golden S, who's probably just as fast, if not faster, than Hellfire and Gale in their monster forms. But then Orochi, that's a little more difficult. His beams are just way too powerful. So much versatility. He can attack so many spots at once. And then when he goes into like his martial arts, combat, physical abilities, then it's like, man, I think you would need more than 5 mid-dragons to take care of him. It just seems that way at least. So like Golden S would probably be the more realistic one in this scenario. Joe D asks, hey Z, your content was on fire this week. Just keeps getting better. Keep it up. Hey, thank you so much, Joe. I really do appreciate that. What's the best new anime and manga you've gotten into the last year? I personally just binged Fire Force and highly recommend. So I have seen a couple clips of Fire Force when it was brand new, and it looks promising. It looks pretty good. I just haven't been able to get too much into it. But, you know, in the future, I'll probably check it out for sure. I'm always looking for new stuff, but I can't get too much into it because I don't want to lose too much focus on the series that I'm covering on the channel right now. But with that being said, I don't want to be too cliche, but the best new series that I've gotten into last year was probably Demon Slayer. Now, I've only seen a few episodes of it, but that was more than enough to really show me that, yeah, it's popular and well received for a reason. It's probably like one of the big three right now. You know, like Demon Slayer, My Hero, One Piece are probably like the new big three. And aside from that, I would say like Mob Psycho. Even though it's not new technically, it's new to me because I only really got into it in the last year, and seasons 1 and season 2 are spectacular. I can't wait for season 3. Legandaryus asks, hey Shonen, if the Hero Association is destroyed, will Saitama join the Neo Heroes or go back to being a freelancer again? I think he would go back to being a freelancer pretty much. I mean, he's not really that tied to the Hero Association. It kind of just gives him something to do, but I don't think he has like a strong allegiance to them. I mean, even though when Genos asked him if he wanted to leave to join the Neo Heroes, I think it was just like too much work for him and he didn't really care that much. It's kind of like he was already on their team and he kind of, you know, is associated with people within the Hero Association, so he just felt more comfortable staying there. But like if they were to dissolve, I don't think he would have to be like, oh, I need to find another association to work for, because he was perfectly content beforehand. But it was just really like the lack of people in his life that was kind of messing with him and the loneliness that came with it. And I don't think he would try to join the Neo Heroes to fill that gap again. Mello asks, hey Shonen, who would win in a fight between Face Ripper and Bakugo manga? I'm thinking Face Ripper would probably win, considering that he is, you know, a certified demon. He is pretty fast and those blades are pretty sharp. He was able to keep up with Genos for a little bit, was ultimately taken out by Genos' blast. So what's more powerful, Bakugo's full power blast or Genos' blast that he delivered to Face Ripper? Maybe they're similar. I think Bakugo, like full power, not holding back, maybe could generate something similar to what we saw of what I suppose was G4 Genos at that time. It's possible, debatable, but I just think Face Ripper's probably a little too fast for Bakugo and would probably slice him up before Bakugo would be able to get anything going. Just taking a guess, of course. The second question is, who from the S-Class heroes should get more character development / screen time? Metal Bat. Metal Bat. Let's see more of him, man. He's such an interesting character. One of my favorites for sure. And I just think it's too bad that we haven't gotten too much development on him yet. I mean, he has the whole sister thing. He has the crazy unexplained abilities that's going on with him. So much to delve into his character. You know, go deeper to him. I'm sure it's going to happen because one likes Metal Bat, the way that he talks about him in interviews and stuff. So I'm sure that in time we'll get a backstory on him and we'll probably see what he's fully capable of sooner or later. Steven asks, Buona, Sarah, I think. Damn good week for One Punch Man. That it is, Steven. About those crowds endangering themselves to watch a My Mask, real talk, if they were the real and Wonder Woman or Spider-Man or Optimus Prime or whoever were fighting and it was your first and possibly last time seeing them, would you linger around to watch? Have a good week, dude. Pete's a rat. Pointing okay. See, this one's a little difficult for me to decipher, and maybe I'm going to be stupid here. Maybe this is going right over my head. So either this is talking about pizza, because, you know, like pizza, or this is like a Pete Buttigieg roast, possibly. Not sure, but let me know. Anyway, yeah, I would totally stick around to watch. If, like, superheroes were a real thing and they were fighting in the street, I mean, how could you not watch it? It's, like, so endearing and captivating that you have to stick around and at least see it once. But it's like, I wouldn't be as close as those people were to a My Mask and the Clown. That's just stupid. Like, yeah, I want to see it, but I'm not going to, like, risk my life entirely to be able to view it. I mean, I'll be like 100 feet away or something like that, but I'm not going to be right up close and center to where I can just be easily collateral damage. Too White for this asks, how's it going, Super Chief? Today I was wondering if you had to pick a favorite One Piece theory, what would it be? So this is a good question, and I've always had this one that stuck with me because I really liked it, and that's Sunlight Tree Eve, or also like the Atom Tree, those being the originators of the Devil Fruits. I think it's extremely likely that that's the case, because the devil fruits obviously came from somewhere. They do have stems on them, which implies that they probably came off of a tree. And, you know, we saw the smiles in Doflamingo's factory. They were coming off of, like, trees, too. So I think it's very likely that these two trees are the originators of them. And I also like the theory that the roots of the Eve tree, you know, that go down to Fishman Island, they're coming up or they're coming down from Mary Joie. Like the tree is like over Mary Joie, and that's why Mary Joie is there, because it goes back to, you know, the Void Century, and they probably built Mary Joie over that because it was like the devil fruits coming out of them, and that's probably what they were ultimately all fighting for. Maybe they wanted the power of the tree or something like that. I don't know, but I just really like that. You know, I do think it's probably going to be true where they're all ultimately coming from. Tempest asks, hey Shonen, who do you think has better luck, Yami, Yugi, or King? Love your content and hope you've had a great week. Hey, I have, and I hope you have too, Tempest. So I think King definitely has the better luck. Yami's is pretty good, don't get me wrong. And Yugi, you know, when they tap into the heart of the cards and they start drawing and ripping stuff that they normally wouldn't be able to do, you know, some incredible probability on their side. But that's ultimately all that it comes down to, is they just get better probability with their luck. As to where King is like straight up warping reality, has like an entire aura over him, and it's just like changing things to favor him, which I just think is like a whole other level of power compared to what Yami and Yugi are doing, honestly. Water Bottle asks, hey Shonen, do you think King will ever become aware of his abilities? I think it'd be cool to see a confident King just walk down high dragons and beat them without laying a finger on them, sort of like what he does now, but he actively seeks out monsters rather than trying but failing to avoid them. So this would be interesting if this were to happen, but I honestly don't think it will. I don't think that's what one ultimately has planned for King, because it would kind of like really change his dynamic and everything if he knew that he was like this nigh omnipotent being, and that like probability would always favor his actions, and if he were just to walk around, he would essentially be able to rule the world too, I suppose. But I don't think that's what one has planned for him, like I said. But I do think that King will become more brave and more courageous and stuff like that, and he'll be more willing to, you know, throw his life on the line against these said high dragons and stuff like that for the greater good, and then ultimately that will work out for him because, you know, his abilities and everything. So I think that's the most of what we're going to see King go down this path. Like, that will be his character development and probably his overall arc, is that he fully accepts that he is the symbol of power and symbol of heroism, and that he has to use it for the right reasons. Even if he is going to die in the process, he still wants to do the right thing and save people and just be a good pillar of humanity in that way. It's kind of like what Saitama wants him to be, and, you know, in a few words he says that basically, like, people see you as like this symbol of hope, so you need to have to act accordingly. James C asks, yo man, I've been a subscriber since the old channel days. Wow, it's pretty old, but this is my first time asking a question. Would you consider making a martial artist tier list based on the skill for the One Punch Man world? Yeah, I do. I have this video actually planned out. I have it on the list. I'm going to be making it within like the next 2 weeks probably, you know, considering that we just got a whole bunch of expansion on the Water Stream, the Whirlwind, and then how they combine and everything like that. Not to mention what's going on with Suivryu. And if we go, you know, deep into the webcomic, there's like a whole bunch of other martial arts styles out there that haven't even been like delved into yet. Not even just the ones that Awakened Garo talks about, but the ones that we saw like when King was going from the dojo. So there's a lot to talk about in that department, and I will go over all of that stuff for sure in the future. Also, what did you make of John Jones, Shevchenko, and the rest of the UFC last night? This won't be my last question, but I look forward to more MMA chats on Twitter. Safe G. Hey, thanks, James. I thought it was awesome. I was really surprised by the Jones and Reyes fight. I'm really surprised that Reyes was able to push him that much. Ultimately, the decision, I think, was fair. I think that one judge who scored it 4-1 for Jones, that was completely wrong, as everyone pointed out. Like, that's a serious travesty, and that guy shouldn't be able to judge the large-scale fights like this, because he is, like, seriously screwing over people, and that wasn't the only mishap that he made that night. But, you know, I think it's pretty clear-cut. Reyes definitively got rounds 1 and 2. Jones definitively 4 and 5, and it only came down to who you felt won round 3, and I guess the judges just felt Jones's takedowns and control was just better than Reyes is hurting him in that round. So, I mean, it's fine. It wasn't like a super mega robbery, but it probably could have went either way. And Shevchenko looked just as good as ever. That wheel kick was amazing. Surprised they didn't knock her out. And yo, how sick was the last chapter? One of the best chapters in the series. My favorite one in a long time. I hope that, you know, the adaptations of the incredible chapters that we have yet to come are just going to be just as good as that. So that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Once again, I want to thank all 115 of my amazingly overpowered patrons. Guys, I can't thank you enough for all of this incredible support. And if you would like to be in next week's Q&A video, just simply check out my Patreon. The $5 tier will give you access to it. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.